All right. We are back at the Cryptocosm, your place to learn about how cryptocurrencies and blockchain-based solutions is going to revolutionize the way we use our internet, information, and money. So, talking about all this three together, I got a special guest all the way from the US of A, and he has a special company called Stack. All right, and I'm gonna stop yapping. I know, so I'm gonna let him do the talking. And yeah, so anyways, this is Will Rush right here. Welcome to the Cryptocosm. How's it going?
How's it going, Marcus? Thanks for having me. Yeah, excited to be here. I mean, it's a really fun thing to talk about. I'm really excited to share the stack journey and kind of just talk about this crazy crypto world and teen education and kind of all those things.
Yeah, no, because I did check out. I know you guys have a waiting list for your app. You're covering education, crypto. Talking about Gen Zs, parents. I mean, you're putting all this together in a quite a nice package, and that also the user face, the design. To me personally, is one of the best I ever seen. So, but before we get into that, let's go back to history. Yeah, let's go back to the origin story of Will Rush. How did Will Rush, how did you discover cryptocurrencies and how did you dive into it?
Yeah, man, I think honestly, my origin story of just like finance actually kind of starts from when I was a kid. Um, I had a mom who I actually sort of grew up in like a polarizing house dynamic where my dad was well off and my mom seemed like, was always struggling to figure out her own finances. And kind of jumping back and forth between the two houses, it was just so clear to me that there was like, sort of this naiveness as a child, to like why the bills were piling up or why my mom's relationship with money was always so complicated. And so when I graduated college and I jumped right into a finance job, one of my biggest goals was actually to go help my mom, help her, first get out of debt. And that took 2 years. We would kind of sit on her back patio and like literally write down on a notepad all of her expenses and, like share how she could kind of get a game plan together to make, take charge and make her financial situation a lot better. And then, working in finance, I worked with big securities firms, so like E-Trade and Scottrade and TD and Charles Schwab, for 8 years.
Those are
And
the big
during,
traditional finance names, right?
yes, I mean, and it was really fun, right? Because you get to see a lot of just like what's happening in finance. But at the same time, there was still like 65% of the entire US population that was not actively trading, wasn't investing in the stock market. And so there was always kind of this question in my mind that was like, why? Why do so many people just not invest? And the story over time became pretty clear, which was just there was like this inertia layer of complexity, of fear, of misunderstanding, of education, that really stopped people from really even ever getting started. And so Stack was really born out of going after crypto, is probably the hottest investment product that everybody is very interested in, especially the youngest generation. But taking that group and really trying to educate and really trying to make the market more approachable. Um, and of course, different levels of investing are for different, risk indexes and different education bases, but really everybody should be involved at some level. And so it's really trying to get that message out. That's really kind of what we're about and what Stack is built on.
Okay, interesting. All right. So, wow. No, no, I just love that personal story where you shared about, I guess the family struggle, and there is this sort of this disconnect when it comes to money because, reflecting in my life and seeing some of my colleagues like here in Dubai and the States, um, there is this big gap when it comes to financial education. So. Um, I honestly, I never realized that there was a big gap. You sort of like kind of follow the old school model, But I think when cryptocurrencies came into the picture, I think a lot of people started to go into sort of a how do you say, like an Alice in Wonderland kind of deal. So do you agree with that, or do you like? I mean, is that kind of like you have a different sentiment about it?
No, I think so. I mean, I'll generalize a little bit cautiously. I feel like there's really three personas of investing, and really like finance,
Yeah.
even in general. One is the group that just really kind of disengages. And so maybe they have a bad relationship with finance. Maybe they don't have a good credit score. Maybe they've just completely unsubscribed altogether, for one reason or another. Number two is that opposite, sort of rabbit hole personality that is sort of prides themselves in investing and knowing about financial markets themselves. They might be a member of the Wall Street Bets community. They might, be Google searching and being on Investopedia, for instance, a lot, and really kind of enabling their knowledge base. And then there's kind of like a third group, and the third group is really sits in the middle between those two parties. And their persona is more, I'm going to do the minimum to be a participator of the market. But, probably at a light level, they might put money in like the S&P 500 index, for instance, or, some kind of mutual fund product that's really simple and easy to be a part of. And honestly, I think moving that group that really is sort of like financially disenfranchised or completely unsubscribes into that third group of, people that passively invest or that just kind of do the minimum level education wise. If you could just teach people that they could capture 90% of the entire output of the stock market by doing really simple things like the S&P 500 index, and carry that over to crypto too, and say, hey, you don't need to be a day trader investing in the meme coins on your Instagram. You can actually go and invest in the blue chips, if you will, right? And just being a participator, and just by putting a small amount of money into it to start off with, and really understanding how these markets work and what the technology behind it is, all of those things. I mean, that is, I think, the real power in all of this. So it's taking those stock market lessons into this crypto market.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think it's fascinating to see a lot of a lot of people are getting into crypto. Um, but I also see, I mean, there are opportunities like whether stock market or real estate, or even of course crypto too. I mean, even real estate, you can also make money too, But uh, what would be your opinion, like, why people are, sort of like, way away from gold or real estate, even stocks, and, they're diving into crypto. Like, what, other than, the big numbers, like, to the moon kind of memes, but is there like is there like a different scenario, a different story that you see, like, that's kind of capturing people's imagination?
Yeah, I think that crypto kind of is the rebel brand right now. And it kind of reminds me of like Apple in the 80s, if you will. It was like the operating system that was, a rebel brand to the Windows PC. I think crypto being the new kid on the block, sort of breaking a little bit of the rules by saying we're going to be decentralized and we're not going to associate with these really kind of old school banks and this old like infrastructure of the financial system, all those things. Mixed with just like the curiosity of its exponential value, right? I mean, crypto obviously has over the, I always think of like the pizza story of, the guy that paid for pizza with Bitcoin for $20, and now of course that'd be worth ridiculous
like
amounts of money.
Million.
Exactly, right? It's like, I think that makes people really curious about it, and that's a really powerful thing, right? I think that's a good thing for the investing market if you can combine that with this like kind of base level of education, and it's a way to get people involved in their own finances. I think that's an awesome tool.
Yeah, whoever the guy's name is, I think first of all, hey, you know what? Hey, thank you for your service. You know what I mean? I don't know, like,
Yeah.
because in the end, like, I mean, of course, that time, I remember Bitcoin was had no value, barely any value whatsoever. But it kind of, how do you say, started a slow momentum, and next thing you know, it hit like, $1. Then I remember then hit like $100. So I remember I was just watching, like, because I had some libertarian friends, that's how I learned about it. And, it was just it was fascinating, but at the same time too, I was still the hard asset kind of guy, but I guess more like gold and silver kind of guy. But only later I realized, how cryptography, how like it's a multidisciplinary subject matter. Like crypto is not about cryptography. There is economics, there's human psychology. I mean, there's a lot of creativity, and this is where like it sort of defies some of the things I have learned in the past, and I had to unlearn a lot of things. So, what
So
about
true.
you? Did you go through? Did you or any of the people in your team kind of like went through that kind of I don't know, like a metamorphosis? I don't know if that's the right
Yeah.
word. Sorry.
No, I think it is. I mean, it is so true. I'll say two things. One is our team, our team at Stack, very deliberately is not all crypto crazies. I mean, there's definitely some on our
Okay.
team who are crypto crazies, but there are also a lot of, there's a few team members that really like don't have crypto as an investment themselves. And so to be a part of a company that is deeply embedded in crypto, I actually think is a really cool opportunity because we get to understand the psychology behind that, right? And
Nice.
also help them on their educational journey and really understand this broader population of people who aren't trading. I think your comment about like sort of unpacking knowledge, and like unwinding what you think
Yeah.
with actually like what's behind the hood is so true. We actually have found that the best way to educate people on investing is actually to start by just asking them what they think they know, and kind of sharing,
Mm.
well, like if you're using your Instagram as your financial advisor, it's probably not a good sign, or I think
Yeah.
I think some of those things are such cautionary tales because information is so available now, and
Yeah.
people can get financial advice everywhere on every platform at the touch of a button. And so with that does become, a little bit of a cautionary tale of like, what is the right information? What information actually leads to knowledge that's based in fact, So it's a rabbit
Yeah.
hole for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Oh man. Okay, but that's pretty cool. What I loved about you have some teammates who haven't bought any crypto, but I love it how you use them as your case study. Like I think that helps. I think that really helps, and I think that's what a lot of other crypto projects I deal with, like in my line of work, they're so like in the business, they're not working on top of it, they're not seeing the bigger picture point of view, and so I think that is a great value. Not only just you guys are doing, but also others also have to follow too, because that's the only way I personally believe we can increase adoption. I remember I was talking to this guy. His name is Luke Stokes. He's the CEO and managing director for the FIO protocol. And one of the discussions we shared was only less than 4% of the world have some possession of cryptos, and to me that is
That's
crazy.
crazy.
I'm like, wait a
Yeah,
minute, come on,
it's
there's
crazy.
no way.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I am an early adopter, man.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
like, man,
here.
I'm a champ. So like, I'm like, man, there's a higher chance of me being the Steve Jobs of, like crypto, So, there's room to grow. There is incredible opportunity. There's incredible abundance. So now we have talk about all that to increase that number. I think the obvious topic we have to talk about is education. So with regards
Yeah.
to Stack, now you are trying to educate Gen Zs and as well as parents. So could you like elaborate more in detail like how you guys are doing that? And Yeah, please take it from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, education is, I think, at a big layer. Like if you think about what is going to get us from 4% adoption to even 35%, what, like is at really the stock market level, even that movement, the biggest piece is how do you get crypto into everybody who's already investing's portfolio? I think that's going to happen naturally. That will happen because crypto is, like it's being accepted by all of the big financial institutions. It's being embedded into the regulatory frameworks of, countries across the world. And so I think that is inevitable. The other really interesting piece, and this is really what Stack is built on, is going where there's the most excitement and using that as a tool to get people involved in their own financial education. And so if we were building a financial education product that looked like Charles Schwab's app, we wouldn't move the needle very much because you would get the people that already want to engage with it and you really wouldn't get much else. And so by throwing out the playbook and really saying, what makes people want to disengage with their own finance, with their, with understanding how investing works? How can we break through that inertia layer early on, especially because when you're an adolescent, when you're a teenager, you're just willing to do more new things. And then you grow up and you start to fear change and you start to fear learning about new things and new technologies. We've used, back to your question about parents and kids and the connection, we used a parent study. We looked at people that were born between 1975 and 1985. So they were basically in high school or college in the 90s during the internet boom. And we asked them, what age did they first access the internet? So they could have been early adopters, like, crypto now, or they could have, reached sort of the maturity stage of the internet and used it like everybody else. And it's still early. We're still collecting more data, but our early data shows that if you access the internet before you were 18 years old, you had a 13 times higher net worth by the time you were 45 years old. And so just the power of that, the power of being part of the newest technology when you're young is such a cool and powerful story that can reverberate for 20, 25 years later in your life. And so really that's our mission. Our mission is to get people involved.
Wow. Okay. What you just shared right here is just mind-blowing stuff. I mean, this is not just about increasing your net worth. I mean, I would dare to say it can provide financial ascension for people to generate intergenerational family wealth. If you have that access to information technology, would we say that?
Yes,
would that be the
totally.
correct statement?
Oh, I absolutely think so. I mean, and that story makes a lot of sense if you think about it too, right? You think of like, if you were an early adopter of the internet as a kid, maybe you got a tech job. Maybe, you decided that you wanted to be a developer, right? Like the things that actually I tell myself now, and I'm like, man, I wish I went to code camp when I was, 17, 18 years old. That's a good skill set to have right now.
One of us could have been Satoshi Nakamoto, or who knows, like some other anonymous guy. I don't know.
I know. I mean, it really does become about that. And so we started with parents surveying them, and that was like, it wasn't the expected outcome of the survey that we've done, but it was just one of those moments of like, whoa, that is crazy. It's crazy that has such an effect on your long-term financial health. And so I think parents really understand that story. And actually, there's a really cool symbiosis of our product where both parents and teens access our platform, and parents are sitting in the passenger seat and teens are sitting in the driver's seat. And just like you teach a teen how to drive a car, we are that for the financial system and really for crypto specifically, where teens can go queue up transactions. They can, pretty much drive all of the things in the account, and parents sit on top of it and they approve things. And so it's a way for a child to co-own an account with their parents and make mistakes and learn hands-on with real money and do all of those things so that when they are an adult and when they are, trading crypto with their own income or whatever it is, they are much more prepared to go do it successfully.
Wow. Okay, this is really cool. This is really cool. Like, a parent and a child working together, and also I love the fact that they can learn to make mistakes. Because like previously in school, like it is like an abomination to make a mistake, but the new trend
Yeah.
is, or like when you enter the real world, you have the only way you can learn is to make mistakes, is to gain that experience, and I think early on makes sense.
It's so true. I mean, like, I don't know how you feel when this happens in your portfolio, but when I see red, right, when I see that something's down, there's like an initial reaction that I really have to fight. And that's like, uh-oh, like a sinking feeling, like a little bit of a heartburn. And I either
Yeah.
want to exit the app, or I'm like, oh, I'm so stupid. I should have, sold at this price,
Mhm.
or you sort of question yourself. And so I think what's really great about this group too is they have such a long investment horizon. I mean, they have literally 40, 50 years probably to go be investors until they really,
Yeah.
might access these funds. And so that in itself is so cool because they can fight through a lot of that inertia. They can fight through the red on their, on their screen, on their phone and say, hey,
Yeah.
like this is just the market. And there's going to be times when it's down and times when it's up. But if you hang on for the long haul, then most
Mhm.
likely you're going to capture some pretty cool compound interest.
Oh, true that. True. Oh man, what are you just sharing to me right now? Like I'm looking about, I'm reflecting on my younger self. Like, but I guess also I'm learning to also forgive myself, like, and be kind. Like, hey,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mistakes I made in the past and stuff. But you know what? That's why I try to, like, talk to some of the younger guys out here, who are getting into crypto and stuff, and just, hey, learn from my mistakes. Hey, don't be don't don't give too much devotion to one product or one aspect or one ideology or something. Like, be open minded. And I think cryptocurrencies and blockchain based solutions uh kind of help me be like water, be fluid and learn things in the process, and then build yourself strong. So that's kind of like my experience.
No, I mean, your story resonates so well because I think that there is this part of making this education accessible through a private company that makes it really unique, right? I mean, you pay for our platform. It's the price of a cup of coffee a month. And so it is, you can ask yourself as a parent, would you go pay $3 a month for your child to go learn about their own financial education and do it in the place that your child is most likely to actually interact with it? Because if it's stock or if it's a bank account or if it's traditional finance, there just really is much less engagement. I mean, we actually ran in the very early days of Stack, we ran 8 different A/B tests, and we would literally have the same image, the same words. We would change one word, stock and crypto. And we got 5 times the engagement on average on the crypto ad than we did on stock with
Wow.
teenagers. And so it was just so clear that teenagers are excited. There's a zeitgeist behind crypto that gets them interested just from the jump that the old sort of fiat and stock system just really doesn't access.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh man. That's fascinating though, because when I'm thinking about your platform, I guess Stack is quite different than the other platforms. Like, I guess I'm comparing to like your Charles Schwab. I don't know if E-Trade still exists. I'm not sure. I barely kept up with what's happening
Yeah.
in the U.S. But so I mean, update me on
No,
that. I mean, because
there, no, so E-Trade's still around. I mean, the big players I think have seen some smaller fintechs like create these teen products, and so
yeah,
they're probably like maybe 4 or 5 years old. A few teen banks and a few like teen stock companies. No one really is. I mean,
interesting.
we'll be the first ones to be legally authorized to actually add crypto to our platform for under 18-year-olds. But I mean, that world that is trying to teach teens about banking and stock, I love their mission, right? I mean, they are so aligned with us, and so I think it's beautiful. The thing that we're doing differently is that we're just starting sort of at the finish line, in my opinion. We are starting where teens already want to be. And so we're completely unencumbered by being a traditional fiat business, that has a banking function and has a stock function. We're pure crypto. And then we think about like things like NFTs and the metaverse and how do we tap into that from an education perspective, and I think those things are definitely going to be on the horizon at some point, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, no,
We'll
that's
see.
definitely.
No, I don't
My
want to bite
mind is
off too
already
much
like
yet.
spinning with ideas. Yeah. I know you got. I know you got like your little waitlist thing going on, but no, definitely that's what I see a USP, like a unique selling proposition for Stack, where you guys are just focused on crypto. You don't carry the this I guess the old energy, or I guess the negative energy coming from the traditional financial space. I mean that area, it does carry a lot of baggage, I would say, so here you guys are independent and like free from that. It's a fresh, you guys are fresh out in the open, so I think that is pretty cool, and I think that definitely, obviously, it will attract young millennials and Gen Zs, so I could see that happen. So not only just in the United States, hey, I mean, if you guys are looking like overseas, hey, there is a young, what do you say, population like in India. You got over here in the UAE, Dubai. Like, I mean, the folks they are hungry. They are looking for. They want to go places where they're treated best. Africa, like the whole continent, incredible talent out there. Incredible, like I mean, like some of the people are coming to Dubai for events. Man, I cannot stress enough. Like these guys, they are looking to like take like 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. So personally, for me, my point of view, just saying,
I love it.
It's my personal view that you guys are right on the money. So hang on there, man. Hang on there.
I appreciate that, Marcus. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what your early financial, like education journey was, but I mean, everybody's is different, and it's one of those things that it's like if you can really just create a product that makes this whole world approachable, and easy to access, and let them customize how they want, let them make decisions, give them the facts, and let them decide for themselves what they want to invest in or where they want to spend their time or money. I think that's kind of the important thing, like just being the enabler of all of it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because speaking about products, one of the discussions I have with some other people in the crypto blockchain space, I think I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but I believe that the next generation of crypto or blockchain based products will be adopted when people wouldn't know that these products are actually blockchain powered, so they won't like have this kind of mentality, or is it Bitcoin, is it BSV, or is it Ethereum, or is it Cardano? Like there won't be that arguments. And like I'm sure you're familiar with that kind of conversations, right?
It's true. I mean, I will say this: the next generation, Gen Z. I mean, we're obviously constantly trying to keep a pulse on them. They are so different in so many ways. I mean, they run towards technology in a way that I don't really know any generation that has. I mean, I'm a millennial, and I feel like growing up, there was definitely just like a huge difference in being conscientious maybe at a young age and being entrepreneurial and wanting to, really like engage in my own education and future and all those things like at a high school age, where I see high schoolers now and some of them are on social media on TikTok charging $1,500 for a TikTok post, I mean, and I think that you can look at that and you can say like, you can look at that and say, well, like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Or you can look at that and say, that is inspiring, that these kids have monetized themselves in a way that, is really cool. So power to them. I think giving them tools that give them the power to go, I think really lean into some of that spirit is the most important thing.
Oh man, that is straight up facts. Because earlier I was just talking to some of my friends, my fiance, and one of the tough questions that us millennials have to ask is, you know, going to college, going to you're getting your bachelor's, your master's degree. You know, I'm just like thinking like, man, what was I thinking? And especially some of the Gen Zs and the younger millennials. I mean, man, some of them already are creating multiple income streams. You know what I mean? Like that is incredible, and some of them also learning how to
It,
figure out the tax code and all that stuff. Wait, what? Like, oh, wow, that is entrepreneurship on fire.
it,
Yeah.
Yeah, they are so impressive. They really, I mean, we work with a lot of TikTok influencers. We do some sort of affiliate work with a bunch of like, I'll call it maybe college age kids and then some teenagers as well. And it is just shocking. I look at these kids, on Zoom and I think like, oh my gosh, what was I doing when I was their age? I definitely was not this, entrepreneurial, and I definitely was not, on my game in the same
Yeah.
way. And so I think that is just so cool about, this next group of kids. Like they are doing some really cool things. I am inspired by the technology that I know they're going to build. And so like just building a product for them actually is so fun. It's so fun building something that, is enabling the next generation to go build even cooler things, and to really lean into this kind of totally new ocean of Web3, if you will.
Sure. Yeah. No, I love the fact that you talk about, the fun side and building products and all that stuff. But I kind of want to like challenge you, or maybe kind of like I know it's the right word. Like, let's not talk about the fun stuff because I know it's kind of cool to talk about, hey, building a company and all that stuff. But I'm also want to kind of like bring
Yeah.
some reality when it comes to, building a product, building a business, getting teams together. So I'm sure there's some I don't want to say bad stories, but just like some challenges, like or just obstacles that came in your way. So, I mean, could you please share like some of the challenges that you had to deal with
Yeah.
to bring this kind of product to life?
Oh my gosh, totally. I mean, they're building a company is just it's one of the most, I think, soul searching exercises that you can really do. There is a lot of self talk, that I think is a huge part of it. There is definitely an emotional toll, to just like self growth and being really honest with yourself as an entrepreneur and saying, what am I good at? What am I not so great at? Where could I bring team members on to sort of round out the skills that I have? Um, I mean, the story that comes to mind is very early on, when we were sort of running Stack, there was like probably 2 or 3 weeks. And, I think a lot of entrepreneurs have this experience, but I was self-funding the company. It was coming out of my own bank account. And I literally wasn't sure if I would have enough money to go make payroll, and I was looking at my own bank account was getting smaller, funding the company. I was making $0. I had two employees working for me at the time. And they were like critical to, getting our technology built and doing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was just, I mean, it was one of those trying moments. And I was out talking with investors, and it's one of those like hunt to eat, if you will, moments where if you don't go close a deal and get a check, like you don't know where your money's coming from, the next couple of weeks. And so there were some really trying moments. I think fundraising is, you can see on your LinkedIn all these stories of entrepreneurs raising X amount of dollars from this incredible venture capital firm. And that is just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the very rare story, it's like there are so few entrepreneurs that actually raise money that easily. And often, the people that do raise a boatload of money from somebody probably had a lot of moments like that, in between where they were, a little bit scared, or, maybe it took them 40 different VC pitches just to get that one, investment. And so those are some of the things that I would tell myself looking back, just like, understand how hard this journey is going to be, that it's a lot about yourself, about self-development, about, knowing that there are going to be some really big dips in the roller coaster, and
sure.
hanging
Yeah.
on and pushing through and being true to yourself no matter what. I mean, our company has definitely changed over the past year, but we have never pivoted from our impact statement from day one. And so I think that is kind of the essential thing that you say, we can move, we can change our business model, or we can kind of figure out how revenue is going to work, or how our marketing campaign is going to go, or exactly what our customer base looks like, or how we serve them. But if you stay true to your impact, that is, the thing that actually gets you out of bed in the morning. That on those really bad days makes you care about what you're actually building, and actually pushes through. So it's hard. There's a lot of low moments for sure. It's not for the faint of heart.
No, so hey, no. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing, some of the realities of, like starting a company, and you know, I feel it. As a business developer, like you're kind of like a the salesman in chief. Like you have to, like try to close some deals and stuff, and um, I, I can feel it, and it's not easy, but I like some of the things you shared, like because I have met some of the startups who are here in Dubai, and some of these guys have raised money from like FTX Capital or Alameda Research Capital or whatever, it was a Sequoia Capital, all these big names, but 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 I also understand like when it comes to getting money from other VCs, there are some things you gotta watch out, like because in the end, yes, you got the money, but at the same time you're on the hook on that money, and you gotta like bring results. So like I mean,
Yes.
kind of like can you just give us some like sort of like how to handle that kind of situation, and how to not let that kind of bother you, as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm a solo founder. And so I think that's also a unique
Okay.
part of the journey when you're doing it all yourself, and you're kind of the only strategic decision maker. I think the hardest part about that is you're sort of forced to plug every hole, if you will, and any early startup experience is like, it's a boat with a bunch of holes in it that you're just sort of trying to keep afloat
Yeah,
until,
no doubt.
you can sort of make it out to sea. And so I think plugging those holes, you learn a lot about yourself. And so that part is really incredible if you take those lessons. I think the other kind of like lesson that I would tell myself in once you have money, and you have to go find value and go create a good business. One of the biggest things is creating a culture of failure. Because the reality is when you work at a big company, you're taught not to fail. Not only are you taught
Yeah.
not to fail, but you actually get a lower pay, you get a lower rating, you get told that you're, not an adequate employee, your boss might not think as highly of you, and those are all just when you fail. And so when you're at a startup, what's totally turned around on that is actually failure is running a bunch of experiments to get to success. And so now I question if there's a day that we're not failing, I'm a little on edge, I think like, uh-oh, we because you're
Yeah.
failing in these sort of hyper experiments, as long as you're not failing the same way twice and you're learning from each one of those, I think that is the startup culture, in itself. And just teaching yourself so many different things. You run a marketing test and you say, okay, is this going to be a good marketing channel for us? Let's go send an email and see the engagement that we get out of it. Or let's go work with a TikTok influencer and let's see, what wait list effect it has. And so you can sort of run these mini experiments. You do it in marketing and you do it in operations and you do it in product as much as you can when you don't have an actual like live app on the app store. And you do it with customer and you do it with your finances and pricing. And so you can really run all these hyper effective experiments. And the more you actually fail in those experiments, or you at least look at it and say, hey, there's probably something that we can do better, the better and closer you get to what is actually successful. And so I think just like being willing to be resilient and to learn from everything, and to realize that you're in the two-person sailboat when everybody else is in like the big cruise ship, and they have to steer 1 degree at a time, And you
Yeah.
can steer in any direction, any day that you want, anywhere you want to go. And so
All
that's what you
right.
have as a startup. You have agility because every big company has capital and they have resources and they can go build whatever they want on any day that they want. But it's going to take them a long time because they have a big core business that they are functioning out of. And you have nothing. So you can go do whatever you think is going to create value at any given day, at any given second.
Interesting. No, no, actually, that perspective is unique. This is the first time I'm hearing it about having the courage to like fail and try different things. That is kind of that's kind of new, even for an entrepreneur to say that. You're one of the first people who have ever said that. I guess many of the entrepreneurs who I've come across, many of them, they do come from a kind of like a strict corporate background somehow. They got into the the startup phase kind of deal, but I don't know. It is interesting. So I'm glad you shared that. I think that this kind of I know, like, the young folks are listening in, they will be encouraged to be like, hey, you know what? Hey, things happen, but
It's not
that's part
easy.
of the process,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that is important because a lot of us, I guess it's kind of like, we all watch a lot of like social media and stuff, so we watch a lot of highlights, but we don't see the behind the scenes stuff. The struggle is
Oh,
real kind of deal, like.
yeah.
So
It's so true. You get told that you have to fit into this mold as an entrepreneur, right? And like I thought for so long that because I wasn't like taking apart TVs in my parents' basement or something when I was 12 years old, like I wasn't an entrepreneur.
yeah.
And that's not true at
Yeah.
all. It's like there is no mold for entrepreneurship. There is no mold to go be a founder. I think the only thing that you really need is you need to be passionate about something to fight through the darkest days, because I don't think there's an amazing book that any budding entrepreneur should absolutely read. And it's called The Hard Thing About Hard Things, by one of the founders of one of the biggest VCs in the world, called Andreessen Horowitz. And he talks about, like, there's this chapter in it
Right.
that I think
Yeah.
is one of the best chapters. And he talks about this thing called the struggle. And he's like, the struggle is when you're at dinner with your wife and you can't think about what she's telling you because all you're thinking about is your business. The struggle is when you forget to eat all day because you're working so hard on your product. The struggle is
Yeah.
when, you think you're a giant failure. And he has this whole list of what the struggle is. And at the end of it, he says, every single successful business founder has gone through the struggle. The struggle is what makes greatness. But not everybody gets out to the other side. And so I think if you have that impact statement that you really care about, that is going to get you through the struggle, that's what matters. And also knowing that the struggle is going to happen no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. No, good. No, those are good points. Those are good points. I think I met some pretty incredible people. They have said the same thing, and that's the reality. So, but anyways, we have covered, the glorious side of, starting Stack, but you also share the realities, when it comes behind the scenes, starting Stack, and bringing value to the marketplace. So, and speaking about the marketplace, I would love for you to kind of like finish us off. Just talking about, you're in the crypto space, you're dealing with, parents, Gen Zs, people of all backgrounds. And one of the things I love to talk about is people's perception about cryptocurrencies, like,
It's a tricky one.
and you know where I'm going with this. So,
Yeah, yeah.
like, I guess just for the audience to figure out, a lot of people have wrong ideas about crypto. How do you invest in crypto? So I'll leave it open to you. So I know whatever comes to your
Yeah.
mind, just hey, fire away.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the audience that's maybe curious about crypto, but cautious because they've heard bad things. Maybe they've heard about fraud in crypto, or, like I think people always point to like the Silk Road story, because that was like one of the first use cases of crypto was like,
Yeah.
buying drugs online. There is negative and there are bad actors in every system and every technology in the entire world, and that is inevitable. There is
Yeah.
also so much beauty in what's behind the scenes in crypto. And so I think that's where education matters, because there is always going to be bad actors. There is always going to be, the meme coins that everybody gets burned on after a celebrity, puts it on their TikTok or Instagram account. And then there's also going to be technology that allows zero inflation, that is completely borderless, that is digital, that's accessible around the world 24 hours a day. And so I think there is a level of education that every single person benefits from by experimenting. Experiment at a low dollar value at first. Take really, really safe investing practices like long-term holding, periodic savings, diversification, know your risk index, all of those things. But I absolutely am a fundamental believer that every single portfolio in the world should have crypto in it. And so that is, the North Star. And I think that we're going to get there. I think that there's a lot of curiosity, and we just need to move curiosity into actual investors.
All right. Okay. No, that's good. I like that. Yeah, man. You definitely done your homework, man. You definitely
Appreciate that.
got a good big picture of it. So a big picture point of view. So yeah, definitely I can see. I think what I believe is like with more products just like yours, with great user interface design and just making it fast, easier, and reliable. I
Yeah,
think that will definitely, I personally believe that's going to really speed up adoption, like no doubt about it. So it's
totally.
inevitable, like you said.
It's those tools that, like, there's the infrastructure tools, which, we're not building an infrastructure tool necessarily, but I appreciate the heck out of the speed, the ease of use, the access, and then I think what we're building at Stack is on top of that education. It's okay, now people can easily access things. Let's make sure that they know what they're doing. Let's make sure that they use safe practices. Let's make sure that they know the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything in between, about this world, so that they can be prepared to enter it in the right way. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. I mean, I'm sure we feel very similarly about where it's headed. Very, very optimistic. And I think there's just so much good behind it that can be, infused into everybody.
I agree. I agree. Hey, look, to me, I always say that, hey, the best is yet to come. So speaking about the best is yet to come, if people want to learn more about Stack, how can they find you and reach you?
Yes. So, me personally, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so that's always a good medium to check me out, Will Rush.
All right.
And then you can check out our website, trystack, TRYSTACK.io. We have a wait list on there. Would love any teens, any parents, feel free to join our wait list. Our wait list is growing at about 16% every week. So it's, just like really, really cool user base there. We're going to give free stuff to the top 250 on the wait list. And so once you add yourself, you'll get an automatic referral code. And if you successfully refer even just like one user, there's a pretty good chance you'll head towards like the top 500 and then eventually 250. So would highly encourage any of those things. And then, just stay plugged in, like whether it is Stack or it is any other platform. What I care about and what will always be the North Star is getting involved somehow, doing it with a small amount of money and trying to educate yourself. I think what we're building at Stack is going to be a really approachable, easy way to do that. But there's also a lot of other great platforms out there. So everybody should get involved at some level.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah, and for the folks out there, definitely going to share his LinkedIn profile, also the Stack link, and yeah, you're going to learn more. And obviously, hey, you'll be the first to know. Keep following, and just I'm also glad that you think in an abundance mindset where, hey, look, if you're not using mine, learn from other people too. There's great stuff out there. So I think that is great. I do love the idea that hey, we need competition that helps us to be better and also provide value to the marketplace. So, but anyways, yeah, that's it. I know it's about that time. But hey, thank you for entering the cryptocosm. I do appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Marcus. It was a pleasure to speak. To all the listeners out there. This is an awesome podcast, and I'm sure that I'll be tuned to all the other awesome leaders that you have on it, and excited to follow your journey.
Sure, sure. Hey, I do appreciate it. That definitely, from my side, my goal is to, bring some voices, in this, from our space. And there are lots of amazing people just like yourself. They are actually building, solutions, I would say like conscious individual solutions that are solving the unconscious collectivist problems out there. And I truly believe that cryptocurrencies and blockchain in particular, along with other technologies too, can solve that. And that's only true conscious individuals. So that's what I personally believe. So I think listening to your story, how you started that journey and how you created Stack, it's one of them. So yeah, hey, first of all, hey, thank you for your service in this in the crypto blockchain space. And like I said earlier, hey, the best is yet to come.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, y'all, we gotta go. We got a lot of work to do, to expand this space, try to pump this rookie numbers of 4% to, 35%, right? So anyways, thank you, for tuning in. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.